Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's where you'll find our incredible short courses. In under 60 minutes, you'll grow all the key skills, covering specific areas like how to hire an assistant, grow a team, to list better properties, to grow better fees, and to master your pipeline. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, one of the big things to think about is like what they go to call the flywheel. And Jim Collins wrote a book on it called The Flywheel, and it was about the momentum of what Amazon had done. And, Amazon was in this position that they got cheap prices, they attracted more people to their website. The more people that came to the website, the more third-party sellers they got. The more third-party sellers they got, the more distribution centers they opened. The more of those distribution centers they opened, then literally the cheaper the prices, and, everything kind of like built until it became an incredible business that built, one of the richest people in the world. The interesting conversation is that your flywheel is really about making sure that you have a certain number of opens every Saturday. So then naturally you meet lots and lots of people, and that's database growth. And you meet buyers, and you meet buyer sellers, and you meet neighbors, and you go to do campaigns. Is that the number for agents to think about? The number of opens that they're doing on a Saturday? Because if they're doing at least 6, then they're ready to scale to add someone to their team to take it to 12 and then to 18 and all the above. Is that just one of the easiest ways to rapidly grow your database and customer exposure?
Yeah, definitely, Josh. I think, if you're running 6 open homes, average of 10 groups per open, that's 60 groups. You'd like to think that at least 10% of those have a property to sell or are looking at selling in the next, 12 to 18 months. So, there's 6 potential leads each weekend. But, you got to then wind back to get to that stage of having 6 open homes. Like, how many appraisals do you need to do in a month? Well, I actually think you probably need to be doing, at least 20 to have 6 at least. And then, how many buyers should you be adding on your database each month? Potential sellers, that should be at least 30, and then the appraisals lead into listings. You miss half, list half, get them on the market, and so then you see the flow from there. But definitely, a number of open homes is really important to make sure that your business is growing and you're meeting more people and selling more property.
What percentage of properties would you sell under 28 days?
75 to 80%.
Yep. So as an example, that if you listed 5, you'll definitely sell 4.
Yep.
In terms of process. So there are some markets in the country that aren't like that right now,
no.
like Mittagong, Bowral, maybe for example Palm Beach, here in Sydney. Any lifestyle markets like Daylesford down in Victoria, for example, where days on market have gone to like 60 days or longer. In those markets, you would need to list double the amount. So in other words, in order to sell 5, you would need to list 10. And that's important to understand, that either you've got to get better at sales process, better at buyer work, better at price reductions, combined with make sure that you're holding more listings, because if only a smaller percentage are actually going to transact, then you need to learn how to do it. And a lot of people don't move quickly on that. Whereas naturally, whether or not it was GFC or some of the early days of COVID, whatever the story is, you've been really good to understand, okay, guys, this is a period where we're going to have to hold more stock because it's not clearing as fast until we work out the way to get the price reductions or get the buyer work through until you actually get your systems to keep days on market short. How important is it for agents to understand that basic ratio of, okay, how many listings do I need to get in order to make sure I make my minimum number of sales? And then off the back of that, what's my strike rate like in the listing lounge room, to make sure that I actually win them and turn it into a listing? Because a lot of agents never track that number, right? So I might go to 10 listing presentations, but only win 2. Well, that's a massive problem. If you're in the other way and you're winning like 6 or 7, you're doing really well. Have those numbers been important for you in your career to really understand what we need to do to make sure you keep the right number of listings for sales, and also to improve your strike rate of what you're saying in that lounge room to win more at a higher fee?
It mentally switches you on, Josh. Like, I look at this month, probably, we had a goal of 22 sales and I think 120 million. We're on 19 and 99 million. So we've still got 5 days to go. And I'm just like, let's make it happen. We know we can. We've got the stock to do it, but we've just really, kept that intensity and ramped it up. So I think if you're like, for me, if you know your numbers and you know what you need to do, and you track it, but you have goals and you use that in your, how you think, you definitely turn on a lot more when you sit in that lounge room.
Alex, is this the mistake though, where a lot of agents launch it to the major real estate websites and then blame the market, versus you're very clear about what we actually do from the moment of listing until it actually gets to the moment where it's launching, in terms of buyers at the photo shoot, for example, revision of price guides if you don't get good quality buyer activity quickly, proper conversation around getting offers on the table early on inside of the environment, cross-selling from other campaigns, understanding buyer urgency of why would this buyer pay more because they sold their house last weekend. There's a difference, isn't there, between just letting it go and actually really having a plan for it? And what have you learnt, like literally, if you think about your days on market, they've been incredibly short regardless of the market conditions of the day on average. It must be that every year or every week, every month, you're refining that process to get it right for the conditions of the day, right?
Yeah, and we're always, I believe, ahead of where the market is because we can see if the market's turning up or down, and then we use that into our dialogue with vendors and buyers.